What's going on? This is Big G Riders. Welcome to another episode of Testing Rides. Today, I'm going to be testing out the 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. Welcome to the 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This generation of the Jeep Grand Cherokee, the WK2, was introduced for the 2011 model year here in 2021. This is finally the very last year for the WK2 Jeep Grand Cherokee, with the next generation arriving at dealerships at the time I'm making this video, and the time I'll probably post this video, which is very, very soon. So the reason why I got this WK2 Jeep Grand Cherokee is I wanted to kind of drive this and kind of look at it one last time before getting to drive the new one when that one arrives at dealerships pretty soon. So for this generation of the Jeep Grand Cherokee, the WK2, this is the generation of Jeep Grand Cherokee that made the Grand Cherokee a lot more popular by, they made these things more livable as an everyday car, and they fixed some of the reliability issues. Not all the reliability issues, but some of the reliability issues. So it made this Jeep Grand Cherokee more appealing to more buyers. Doing research on these things, you probably notice how many Jeep Grand Cherokees you see on a daily basis driving around, because they are very, very good cars. So this is the 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and all Jeep Grand Cherokees come standard with the Pentastar 3.6 liter V6, making 287 horsepower and 260 foot-pounds of torque. Since this car is on an old platform, this is on an old Mercedes GL/ML platform, this car weighs about 4,700 pounds, but despite that heavy weight, this car still gets about 18 in the city and 25 on the highway, which is actually pretty decent, given that a lot of crossovers, even with lower weights and about the same power, are getting the same gas mileage. So I think that's pretty good. And that's kind of due to when they did the facelift for 2014 or 2015, I believe, when they added the 8-speed transmission. That just changed this car, changed the game for this SUV pretty significantly. So this is the 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited. Jeep Grand Cherokee starts at about $42,000, but this one has the Luxury Group 2 package. So what comes with this one is you get heated and cooled seats, the Alpine suspension, you get the sunroof, and you just get a lot of stuff on this thing. And one thing they took away that was on my 2018 review that I did back a couple years ago is they had the HID headlights with LED daytime running lights and fog lights on the 2018 model, but they made that its own separate package for I think around 2019 to 2020 or something like that. So that's really disappointing to see them take that package away. Actually, I think the headlight package came on the 2020 model. So that's really disappointing to see, but it's okay. It's just one more thing for them to get, a little bit more money for them to get out of you, but that's not too bad at all. But for the most part, with the Luxury Group 2 package, this is $45,000. And $45,000 is a pretty decent amount of money considering the stuff that you get on this one. And also, this is like a mid-model Jeep Grand Cherokee, so a lot of some of the trims or anything that you notice inside that you may not like, it may solve it with the higher trim level. So I think they make like 10 or so specs of this car, which I think is pretty cool. So no matter what you get, no matter what you're looking for, there's going to be an option for you in terms of your price point, whether you're looking at a base model Jeep Grand Cherokee, or if you're looking at a fully loaded Jeep Grand Cherokee, there's going to be an option for you that fits with your budget, fits with your specifications and options that you will like. Like I talked about a lot in the driving, I'll talk a lot about in the driving portion, how there's not a whole lot of safety systems on this car. You have to go for a lot higher model to get the safety systems, of course, but for this one, for being $45,000, it's not bad. But with that said, let's go and take a look around the vehicle, take a look at the interior, exterior, and go out on the road. All right, let's go ahead and head out on the road. So one thing that the one thing that's nice about this Jeep Grand Cherokee, even though it's like an SUV, this has still like the Pentastar V6. It has almost 300 horsepower. So when you need to get some good acceleration, oh yeah, it doesn't shift it by itself. That's nice. This car has some pretty decent acceleration. With almost 300 horsepower, it's decent for what it is. You know, with this car weighing about 5,000 pounds, almost 5,000 pounds, and only having 297 horsepower, that's not too bad for acceleration. So, welcome to the driving portion of the 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee. The first thing to notice when you head on the road in the Jeep Grand Cherokee is the Jeep Grand Cherokee is pretty. It rides really nice. It's a really comfortable ride. So, since this car doesn't have big rims on it, this car has a really comfortable, cushy ride. It's like comfortable and cushy without it being floaty and boaty. Like, you know, going into corners in this car and things like going into corners and, you know, things like that, it's actually not too bad at all. It's not a sporty SUV by any means, but it does all right for sure. So, you know, so I'm coming up to some corners here, do some downshifts. All right, not too bad. One other really cool thing about this Jeep Grand Cherokee is the Jeep and Stellantis, formerly known as FCA, has been doing so many like small changes on their cars that make them much better. So one thing I noticed is the downshifts are a lot more crisp and faster than I remember downshifts ever being in any of the Jeep Chrysler Dodge vehicles. The downshifts were never really very good. The upshifts are pretty nice and happen pretty decently quick, but the downshifts were never good. It's like they didn't program it to rev match or blip or whatever well enough, and it seems like they may have updated the software on it, and now the downshifts are really nice and really crisp. And I really appreciate that. No, this is not like a sporty shifting SUV or anything like that. It's just smooth and easy, and I really like that. So, a couple simple things. This Jeep Grand Cherokee has nice views out of the windows. The window's pretty big. The mirrors are a nice size. There's not too many bad blind spots on this car. There's your typical blind spot looking over because there's like a headrest right there when you go to look over your right shoulder. But besides that, there's not really any bad blind spots. This car does have blind spot monitoring, which is nice. And I believe it comes standard now on certain trim levels of the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Because I remember on the 2018 Jeep Grand Cherokee, I don't remember that car having blind spot monitoring. And I complained about that, just saying that, like, you know, $17,000 Toyota Corollas are coming standard with, like, $17,000 Corollas are coming standard with adaptive cruise control, and Jeep at $45,000 still can't put, blind spot monitoring on the car as kind of standard equipment. And I think they've solved that since then. I think a lot of Jeep models have blind spot monitoring as standard equipment. So this car doesn't have really any safety equipment standard except the blind spot monitoring system, no lane keep, no adaptive cruise control, no anything like that. But I think that just has to do with the fact that this is an older generation of Jeep, and when the next generation of Jeep that's coming out for 21 and 22 comes out, I know that's going to have all that stuff. So I'm not even going to harp on that or complain about that too much, because this generation of the Jeep Grand Cherokee was introduced, believe it or not, back in 2011, and then facelifted in 2015. So, that's before really any of the companies were doing a lot of the safety stuff as standard equipment, and I'm going to give it a pass for that. So honestly, I want to talk about this car now kind of as a used car, because coming into 21, this car has been around for a very long time, and you're going to start seeing a lot of these pop up on the used market with the new one coming out. And honestly, I think this is a fantastic used car. This comes with a lot of great features, like the Apple CarPlay, the push button start, remote start, the panoramic sunroof. It comes with a lot of great modern features for a car that is as old as this one is. Yes, this particular one isn't that old, but this, if you want one that looks like kind of exactly like this one, interior and exterior, that came out 2015. That was 6 years ago. that was a long time ago now. I mean, 6 years is typically like a full generation for most vehicles, and that was just a second half of the WK2 generation of the Jeep Grand Cherokee. And you know, this car has aged really well, in my opinion. Like, a lot of the trims and interior and everything like that doesn't look too old. It doesn't feel like a 2005, like some cars, you know, it doesn't feel 10 years old, interior wise, like a lot of cars do, when they've been around for this long. But yes, of course, there are some things that have aged, but for the most part, it's still all pretty modern and it's held up really good against time. So, you know, what trim should you be looking at when considering a Jeep Grand Cherokee? My opinion, I think the Limited is the best one, because you can get this luxury group 2 package and get the sunroof and everything, and you're only like $45,000. The Overland is the next one up, I believe, and that one comes with a couple more features on the car. It comes with the upgraded headlights, I believe it comes with air suspension standard, or it used to come with air suspension standard. But, you know, I think the Limited's a good model, but if it were my money and I was buying one, I would probably get a loaded up Cherokee, because one thing that I do like about the Cherokee, it comes with like the graphics and like all the chrome is blacked out, and it comes with air suspension standard and all that stuff. So that is kind of my favorite trim of the Jeep Grand Cherokee. I did drive one of those last summer, but I didn't do a review of it. I just drove it to kind of just see how it was, and I really liked it. All of my problems with the ride and the way this car handles is all fixed by the air suspension, and I've said that multiple times, and you know, I just want to keep reiterating that. You know, I'm not saying like you shouldn't buy this car unless you get air suspension. I'm just saying what I like in a car, how I like to drive a car. The air suspension solved all my issues, but you know, you may not care as much. You may not care about you may not drive the car the same way that I drive my car. So you know, that's just up to personal preference. But for the most part, this Jeep Grand Cherokee is an excellent vehicle. I think that, you know, for being as old as this is, and being that this is the new one's coming soon, I'm really excited to drive the new one. And this one is not a bad vehicle at all by any means. If you don't really want to swing for the new Jeep Grand Cherokee, you want to get this car used, I think this is a great used car. And on average, these Limiteds are between 30 and 35 grand. And for 35 grand, this is a great car. You know, get one with like 25,000 miles on it or something like that, a couple years old, you'll have a great vehicle that you'll be happy with for a long time, because you don't really have to add really any features to this car. This car has everything that you would want and need in a car, except all the safety stuff. But a lot of people who are buying used cars don't care that much about the safety stuff, because you know, if you did care about that much about the safety stuff, you'll get you'll get like a brand new one and spec up the safety stuff. So, you know, I'm pretty impressed, still pretty impressed with this car. Like, I've driven this car for about 3 days or so, and you know, I don't want to turn this one back in. I really like it. I would love to own this and daily drive this car. There's a couple like different spec options that I would want. Like I said, I would want a Cherokee if it were my car, but for the most part, this vehicle is great. And you know, this was a great new car, and this is going to be even better used car. So I definitely think that if you're ever considering about picking up a Jeep Grand Cherokee, something from the WK2 platform, this was a great new car when it was new, and this was a great new car, and this is going to be even better used car. I'm really impressed and really happy with the way this car drives and handles. I think that if you're looking for a good solid SUV from Jeep, I think this is a great choice. You know, especially at 30 to 35 grand, this is a great car. So if you want to pick up one of these used, definitely go do it. But if you're going to get a used one, I'd recommend getting a 2015 and above, because 2015 is when the WK2 was facelifted, and it got the ZF 8-speed transmission, and the ZF 8-speed gearbox is what makes this car feel a lot more modern and a lot newer than what it actually is. So I would definitely go that route. Actually, maybe I think the WK2 facelift came out in 2014. Maybe I'm I think it's 2014 actually, but you just want to get one that is a facelift one or better, because you want the ZF 8-speed, because this gearbox is a lot better and handles and shifts a lot smoother, and I believe it's been a lot more reliable than the standard 5-speed automatic that the pre-facelift model had. But if all you can swing is a pre-facelift, still a pretty good vehicle. I drove that one too, back when that was new, and I liked it as well. So, you know, you really just can't go wrong with these WK2 platform Jeep Grand Cherokees. So honestly, you should definitely pick up one of these Jeep Grand Cherokees. They drive nice, they look nice, the features are nice, it's comfortable, it's decently efficient for what it is. It's a really nice built interior, really nice built car for the most part. I definitely love this car, and I think that you should consider getting one.